I'm Grant.
And I'm Nivea.
And today we will be looking into the interactions between youth and authority figures.
Grant and I have observed that a lot of times teens feel uncomfortable when speaking with people in positions of power because of this generational gap in understanding. So we wanted to figure out ways to bridge this gap by speaking with both students and a police officer.
Oh, most definitely. I completely feel like there's a disconnect. And that's mostly, I feel like, because we just lack proper communication skills between our parents and just figures of authority. I feel like there's a feeling of intimidation and like social norms, a lot of social norms that we have to conform to that prevents proper communication, just openness within, with our figures of authority in society.
I definitely think there's a divide between teenagers and adults, especially if you're not used to like talking to anybody who's in authority or like feeling comfortable doing that.
So I feel like other teenagers kind of get this idea where they can kind of like fight a cop or challenge their authority, I guess, which can cause some issues. Also with parents, I feel like there's always miscommunication among parents just because there's like a generation difference, you know, things are a lot different.
I feel like a lot of kids these days don't feel like their parents understand what's going on. So then therefore that creates like a little disconnect between them.
Teenagers that don't trust authority, they become defensive when they're reprimanded by teachers and authority figures. They do something wrong and their teacher like reprimands them or gives them a punishment. They don't really see the point in it and they go straight to like defense.
I'd say it's really just a matter of respect and us knowing what respect is, because if you respect someone, you'll get respect back, and then that will lead to a better relationship with people.
Be a little bit more open and really clear about communication so that there's less misunderstandings.
Generally, if people just kind of become more open-minded, more relaxed, people can solve out those misconceptions just through simple communication.
I think it's just with your mindset. If you just have an open mindset and you just don't think too much about it, just be open with your parents, you know, that's and figures of authority. Don't be afraid, that's basically it. If you're open and respectful with your parents and figures of authority, it'll just come back to you. And at the same levels, it'll be reciprocated.
I think number one is the respect for authority, and I think that's across the board, no matter who it is. It's a police officer, a parent, a teacher, a principal, school administrator, whatever, is to have a respect for authority. To this day, I call teenagers sir and ma'am, and just because it's respectful, and I want to set the ground rules on an initial contact, you know, to establish that. Have an understanding of who we are, and we're just human just like everybody else, and not being afraid to interact with an officer if they see him on the street or see him in a business or a restaurant. But also understand that we're here primarily to protect first. That's our sole function, is to protect the public. And so understanding that, I think, goes a long ways, and then being respectful when you have an interaction with a police officer. Owning what you did and understanding why you were stopped, and let the officer speak and educate you on what transpired, and that'll go a long way.
After speaking with both students and Officer Veach, Grant and I came to a few conclusions.
The first was that some of the disconnect that arises between students and teachers and parents and police officers stems from a place of fear. Fear of disapproval and fear of punishment.
One way to address this sense of fear is by realizing that most, if not all, the authority figures that we interact with are parents themselves, and ultimately they just want the best for the people that they serve.
Before we respond to someone, we need to first listen to what they're saying and not be so focused on defending ourselves as much as objectively evaluating and trying to understand where they're coming from. Respect is of the utmost significance, and it's crucial for mutual and constructive, productive conversations.
One final conclusion that Grant and I came away with is the idea that another barrier to cooperation between authority figures and teens stems from the need for people to make hasty generalizations based on what they hear in the media. We ultimately have to remember to see the best in others and remember to see both sides of the story.
So the next time you're passing by an officer or you're in your teacher's classroom, make sure to live golden.